Hi, Nicole Milovich Walters here, Mayor of Palos Park, and welcoming you to our next installment of Neighbor Spotlight. This spotlight features Mona Purdy of Share Your Souls. Please enjoy the video and donate afterwards. Thank you.
All right, Palos Park, we are so excited to be here with Mona Purdy from Share Your Souls. And so the first thing I think is that we want to get down to the background of your story, because we've all heard about Share Your Souls. We've all heard the story of, it started in your driveway. And so just tell us kind of how that all came about, where it started, and, how that all happened.
Thank you for being out here. It's so good that people understand I am no one special. I saw a need and took action. Also have 3 little kids, Morgan, Chris, and Hannah, when it was going through a bad divorce. And getting lost in a divorce, no one wins. We all know this. So I wanted them to get involved with something that wasn't about themselves.
Yeah.
Because we knew we were going to be okay. But I had a couple little businesses going, little dog sitting business, hair salon, keep things going, but was not really fulfilled. And I saw my kids kind of slipping through the cracks emotionally.
Yeah.
So we looked for things, nothing fit us. And I had an opportunity to go to Guatemala and help some cyclists get some supplies for their bikes that didn't have pedals. So I get the loot. I was going to mail it. It was cheaper for me to go. So I Google, where exactly is this? Because who would go to Guatemala?
Right.
This is 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So I thought I can do this. So I went, signed up for a running race, in this rainforest terrain. I was the only one with shoes on, with 6 guys. One of the guys had on mountain climbing boots.
Oh my gosh, to run a race.
And we're gonna run a half marathon, 13 some miles.
Oh my gosh.
So it was crazy. So we take off, and along our path, I see all these little kids, and they had put hot tar on the soles of their feet because they didn't have shoes.
Can't even imagine that.
So I'm bawling, I'm crying. I asked the guy what's happening, because they can't afford shoes, and so I'm thinking, guys, this kind of feels good. This might be it. Because how easy is this? I have 3 kids at home that have more shoes than...
Oh, I have 3 kids. I know the shoes.
Yes,
Yeah,
the kids love their feet.
Yeah.
So I sit next to an orthopedic surgeon, and I had asked him why he was there. And he goes, well, I go down there to treat, predominantly kids and adults, because they damage their feet early on in life, and then it affects everything in their life as they're older.
Sure.
So he said he would not go down there often if the kids had shoes. So I'm like, it's a sign.
Absolutely.
It's a sign. And I went home, took my youngest daughter to Capri on Harlem. I don't know what it was back then. And on the paper topping on the table, she wrote out, share your shoes, with a globe, and we were coming up with all these things, and all of a sudden it was Share Your Souls.
Absolutely.
So I Val
Perfect
Curran
name.
from Palos. I called the school 118, who I love. Called my posse of teachers and moms, and Val Curran was one of my big stars, Palos Park resident. And we started collecting the shoes and then bringing them. We didn't know what we were doing. We just thought, get the shoes and then figure it out later.
Sure.
So it was pretty much kid shoes in the beginning. And then I ended up taking them to Guatemala and paying for it. It was a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
So one of the nuns in the orphanage goes, well, when are you coming back? And I was like, oh, no, I did my thing.
Yeah,
I'm not coming back. But the
Yeah.
shoes kept coming to my house. And then I noticed the kids in the neighborhood were coming over and storing the shoes at the house on my driveway after school. So we had bikes out in front, pogo sticks. I mean, it was like a carpool. The moms would drop the kids off, they'd get out, we'd be sorting shoes. Like, this was this section, this was the men's section. And then someone said, can I use your bathroom? And I go, yeah. You go straight up the ladies' shoes and make a right at the cleats, and there's the bathroom. So this was going on for a couple years. We're collecting the shoes and struggling to get them places. We've taken them to the Appalachians, Indian reservations, whatever. And then one day, Palos Park's finest comes walking up the drive, And they go, we got some complaints from your neighbors that there's too much activity here. Well, by this time we had a dumpster put in the driveway, and
Yeah,
we were
it had
kind of like an
grown.
established thing now.
Yeah.
And we were the after school activity, Miss Purdy's house. So they said, yeah, your public nuisance and eyesore. I was like, are you? I was shocked. But Phil Cadner from the Southtown picked up the story. I don't know how he heard about it. And he came out, did an interview, and he goes, Good Samaritan, trying to do good for the world and teach kids valuable lessons and philanthropy and kindness, gets slapped on the wrist or something. So we made the front page of the Southtown, and I get a call from Kathy Sailors, Palos Park Good Samaritan resident, and she's like, hey, we have a warehouse in Elsa that we're not using. So because of something kind of bad, something good came out of it. So then I called Jesse White, who's a longtime friend of mine. When he was running for Secretary of State, he used to be a recorder of, involved with the library arts. I don't remember, it's so long ago. And he goes, oh my gosh, this is how the Jesse White tumblers came about. I saw it on need, was in the gymnast stuff, and so it's a calling from God, and I go, wait, this is what I'm getting, like collecting used shoes. So he started off on my board, and then as we grew, more schools got involved, kids were doing community service, because now we had a warehouse. So when they sold theirs, Center Point Properties called, and they go, we have a property in Chicago Ridge, and it's 100,000 square feet. If we pay all your expenses, can you move in there? So now we're really rolling, and we had become, with the help of Jesse White, a non-for-profit. And then I collect Bob Sineni from FedEx Worldwide. He came and brought his 2 daughters, and they were going to drop shoes off. So I'm like, oh, no, get back here. You don't do that dine and dash. The kids won't learn anything by putting their shoes they no longer wear in a bin.
Yeah.
And Daddy drives them over. He goes, oh, well, we're going skating, so we can't stay. I go, oh, no, they got to bust their shoes and lay them out and hear my rug dance about why it's important kids get involved.
Absolutely.
And you work side by side with your kids. So he goes, you should talk to my people at FedEx. Now, after like some time goes by, he's involved, and he's on my board, and then we got FedEx Worldwide. So now we're shipping shoes all over the world.
Amazing.
Well, they gave me 5 shipments anywhere in the world. And then, the economy changed everything. Then I get a guy call from American Airlines. Well, they nominated me for Chicagoan of the Year. This is 2005. So I became one of the Chicagoans of the Year. So this was crazy too. So American Airlines said, well, we should get involved with you and send you and your shoes all around the world. So I'm like, okay, so I could never fly anything but first class. Okay. They did let me take my kids, but that opened up a bunch of doors so I can learn enough about poverty, because I had never, we people here might have a bad day. They do not know what hardcore poverty is.
Yeah.
When you see people literally starving that have never seen a dentist, an eye doctor, have birth defects that could easily be prevented, cleft palates. I help deliver babies. I'm a hairdresser.
Yeah,
like what? So me being exposed, then I was able to share stories when schools were booking volunteer service sessions with us. And the kids got hands-on experience, or the court kids from, running a stop sign, nothing hardcore, but instead of punishing them for doing something wrong, they got to do something to make their life better and someone else's who they're never going to know, meet, or see. So a lot of those kids ended up being our employees later on.
Oh, great.
I mean,
everything just kind of came full circle.
And everyone goes, gosh, wasn't it hard? None of it was hard.
Yeah.
It was like I'd go up to the door to knock, to ask God, I need something, and the door would open.
Everything fell into place.
Everything fell into
This
place.
is what was supposed to be.
It's a right word to do.
Yeah.
Typical organizations won't go that extra mile to those extreme places. For instance, we just had a project in Ukraine. 9 surgeons going, 4 from Northwestern here in Chicago, 5 from Boston. And a couple of them do Stamos for guts that have been damaged from landmines, and the others amputations of arms and legs. So my role was to provide shoes for prosthetics, guys that had lost their limbs. So because of the dangers, we served the people from the front lines that had the same pair of sandals on from when they had to leave their homes 2 years ago. And you would have thought I was Oprah Winfrey giving away a house.
To them, you were, though.
The ladies that stayed till the end of the distribution, and we had these jumbo 36-inch suitcases,
Yeah.
and they were the winners of the suitcases. Dancing with them,
Absolutely. And that's what I was going to ask. If you could talk just a little bit about how the impact to the people that you're giving these shoes to, and just how they respond when you're, providing them with, and how that changes their life.
Most of the people, we do disaster relief, and there are people like us, like in Ukraine, there were people like us that had things, and now they have nothing. Most of the people that we serve have never had anything. They don't really know what a good day is because they've never known. They have nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
Like we know what a bad day is.
Yeah.
But our bad day is they can't conceive of that because
Yeah.
it would be their good day.
Right.
The men wear women's shoes if that's what they have. They have rice diets, water. Just having like. If I have a bottle of water and they get a sip of my water, that is like a big deal. Getting a sip of water.
So hard to imagine. Yeah.
We don't have parasites here.
Yeah.
That's another issue. In the third and fourth world, I call them fourth worlds, our feet pick up parasites. The bottom of the feet's the most porous part of our body. And they get parasites from their toenails, from their heels, and these parasites fester and live in their bodies and become like 18 inches long. So when you see those pictures of the big abdomens on kids, it's not because they've had too much to eat, it's because the parasites are eating the healthy bacteria from their bodies. So the shoes are so much more to these people than a convenience.
Right.
They are health insurance, they're safety, their transportation, self-esteem, like walking for a couple miles with 2 buckets of water on your back with a stick, and the kids age way before their time.
Yeah. So tell us about your start in Palos Park.
Well, my kids were raised in Palos
Yeah.
Park, and it was magical that we lived there.
Of course.
There was no other place in the world to raise your kids.
Yeah.
So my kids all went to Palos East. Great teachers, and they still are my friends,
Yeah.
which is amazing. They had to do the shoe drive. Palos West did the shoe drive. Sandberg, Stagg. I had everyone doing the shoe drive in the community.
Yeah.
One of my daughters went to Macaulay. We had, love Macaulay, and then it expanded the Beverly community, and then the Rec Center had a collection barrel there forever and ever, and then it got so. I think I don't know what had happened, but it just kind of fizzled out, but we're going to reinvent that, get it back.
Yeah,
There you go.
for sure.
We used to do these trips kind of solo, and we were very independent. We had, FedEx and American Airlines, but the medical world through the years has found that shoes prevent a lot of health problems. Proper shoes, good shoes, quality shoes. We would rather have quality than quantity.
Sure.
The cheap shoes do not hold up on the terrains that a lot of these people live where they don't have sidewalks. They don't have carpools. They don't have public transportation, buses or bicycles. They walk everywhere. So having good quality footwear, and the shoes I used to buy for my kids are different than shoes that I might, now that I'm educated in what
Yeah.
kind of shoes to give. No one's going to buy a $60 pair of shoes to donate.
Right.
They're going to go to a low expensive place and get a big bang for their buck. We prefer the quality to the big bang for the buck. But partnering with medical teams, we are much more efficient, we are organized, huge impact, and we allow the communities that we serve to participate in our various missions. It raises their self-esteem and it builds good relationships with us for the future.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to share that with you. Any medical people out there that are looking to do good medical work, it starts from the bottom up. So I'm glad you asked me how we find locations in need. I probably get 12 emails every couple weeks on, hey, can Share Your Souls provide shoes for this cause, for that cause? A couple years ago, we get an email from a guy from Moldova.
Okay.
Do you know where Moldova is?
No.
I didn't either.
No.
It's the poorest country in Europe, and one of the surgeons who just went to Ukraine with me is from Moldova.
Okay.
They have no access to things. They never recovered from a war, and still food rations, poor nutrition, poor health care. So we have worked out getting shoes to the youth in Moldova. And this last weekend, I had some of the elders from the Lakota Sioux Indian Reservation in Pine Ridge. I usually go on some of these trips myself to ensure that the people that need the shoes get them, that the homes that are not near the main roads and people don't have cars, we go to their houses and make sure that they're provided for. And people think, oh, all these people out on the reservation are wealthy because of the casinos. There are the wealthy, and then there is the poverty, and they are way below poverty. They live in old army barracks homes. A lot of them have asbestos, a lot of cancer, a lot of crystal meth, a lot of suicide, a lot of emotional damage. They want shoes. So they were just here this weekend pulling shoes that will go out to Pine Ridge this week. And then a really exciting trip, Diana Bowie, who's a longtime friend of mine, who's a medical professional. He has been working with indigenous people in the deep Amazon jungle of Peru. It's called the Rio Napo region. 20 villages she serves. And this is her 20th year doing it. Just ironic. So she has 6 doctors, 1 midwife, and me going. And the podiatrist going, he said the kids need soccer cleats. Something, and it rains all the time. Why would they need soccer cleats?
Right.
Parasites, poor nutrition, and no access to having soccer balls or proper footwear. So when you have bad nutrition and you kick a rock they make into a ball with bags wrapped around them and rubber bands, you damage your toes. It's going to affect your walk because you won't have medical attention. I mean, they have medicine men there, but some of these kids need care. Their hips are messed up, and then their backs, and then you see these old people all hunched over because of something that happened when they were a kid.
Yeah.
And it can be preventable.
Yeah.
So they ask for cleats, flip-flops, water shoes, Crocs, and that's what's happening. So we're hoping to bring enough inventory that will make a dent in this trip. Working with other worthy aid organizations, it reduces our overall costs, and we can have a bigger impact on a community. So they'll be setting up clinics, shoes will be getting distributed, and relationships will be made. So stories can be told to the 150 kids that come through my doors a week and want to learn about their world and their place in it. And it's called social responsibility. Like, we all have our communities. None of us are needy. Like, someone might have a basement flood, we all help bring things, a house fire, those things happen. These people have never had a true life. So the smallest things, like a pair of shoes, we can do this.
Absolutely.
So we have a GoFundMe going now for this trip, and I'll send you the link. And,
Please do, yeah.
But right now I raise money to get the shoes that we choose, because I was telling you, I'm really hard on, like, if there's no treads left on the bottom, if they're dirty, laces are missing, insoles, or if they're 10 years old. Shoes decompose. So I'll pay $17,000 to get a 40-foot container from my building to, say, Uganda. And then we have to pay truckers to take them out to the Naki Valley refugee settlement, where we have a little guest house and a library.
Okay.
To pay all that, and then we open up the boxes and the shoes have turned to dust. They don't help anymore. And then I'll have one shoe that's normal and one that's completely disintegrated, and the people still want the one shoe.
Sure.
And then they go run away with the one shoe.
Yeah.
I'm like, come back.
Yeah,
I'll give you
a
two
pair.
shoes.
Yeah.
I'll give you a pair.
Yeah.
No.
So that trip, you're leaving.
I leave
very
on
soon.
September 19th.
Okay.
And we try to get these organized months in advance so we could run a GoFundMe. I pay my own expenses with my expenses because that's my thing.
Yeah.
But to transport the shoes that will help these communities that depend on people like us to do small acts of kindness to change their lives.
Absolutely.
$5. And I tell people, give up a Starbucks. It used to be Happy Meal. Now I say, give up a Starbucks because I think a Starbucks Frappuccino is like $5.
At least I
Give
think.
it up. Just make a donation.
Absolutely.
Do something.
Well, we'll make sure that we include that GoFundMe link.
Thank you.
And hopefully you can see some things from that. You said at the beginning of this that you're not a special person, but I strongly disagree with that because you are amazing and doing really wonderful things. Talk to me about other ways that people can get involved and help out.
I love when we have school, like we get schools from all over America now. Well, before COVID. COVID was trouble for us because we had to shut down almost 2 years. I do this so kids get an opportunity to meet somebody like me, who's just fun and silly, and we're interfaith. We work with Muslims, Hindus, Jews, Buddhists, Native Americans, just making the world a kinder place.
Yeah.
And I can't retire because I don't know another organization like this,
Yeah.
where you can come, donate your time, and when you leave here, you feel like $1 million.
Absolutely.
And you've done something that will change someone's life who you will never know, meet, or see. And when you asked about how the people respond, they ask me why people know that they're here. Like, oh gosh, it kills me. Like, how did you know to come here? Like, how did you know I needed this pair of like, how did you know I needed this? And I'll go, people do care because we're sharing this information.
Yeah.
And in Ukraine, these women all wanted me to video them. So I could come back here, play the videos, so you can understand their life. And the kids in Africa go, do people like where you come from? Do you have skin like my color? And I go, oh, they do.
Yeah.
Oh, they do.
Absolutely.
And do they have shoes? And do they live like this? And I go, well, they similar.
Yeah. Well, it's an amazing thing that you started from, like we said, from the driveway of your house into this beautiful building and this huge warehouse in here that's just filled with all kinds of shoes that are going to make such an impact on so many people.
I am hoping that the Palos Park schools will see this and get their shoe drives kicked up because this isn't the shoes. This could be pencils or anything. What I like about the shoes, we all have extra, and our feet always grow.
Yeah.
And families, friends, neighbors can all participate.
Yeah.
It's not like this is limited to only these people.
Right.
So everyone can participate, and respecting the dignity of those that get the shoes, I can't stress that enough.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
And I want them to do shoe drives, and there's 3 things that keep us going. Financial support, hands-on volunteers, and shoes.
Okay. So Palos Park, let's get our time, money, shoes together and help support this wonderful, wonderful organization. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's an amazing one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.